What should you never do in the United States? Don't ever get a payday loan. Get out of the vehicle during a traffic stop. I did not know this. Here in Australia we are perfectly okay to get out of the vehicle unless the cop says otherwise. Walk onto someone's property without permission or knowing the owner. It's cool in many places around the world to be able to go wandering through the countryside. It is not cool in the US. You might end up getting arrested, held at gunpoint, or shot at if you're really unlucky. Don't get out of the car after police asks you to stop. My old chemistry professor made that mistake on holiday. They pulled a gun on him. Don't take pictures or record videos of strangers' children. I've had to warn many people coming over from Asia about this. Some have ignored me and it has led to screaming and threats. If a cop pulls you over, don't get out of the car. Place your hands on the wheel and wait, they will come to you. What's a hobby someone can have that is an immediate red flag? Making see-through Lego men with mouse organs inside. Well, reading the comments, I'm feeling better about my Warhammer collection. Running an MLM or being admin, dictator, of a local area Facebook group. Kids' beauty pageants. Cutting the eyes out of pictures of women in magazines. Speed sewing Moroccan flags. What actor consistently annoys you regardless of their role? I used to have an irrational hatred of Kevin Spacey, now it's just a rational one. Jared Leto. You guys, I cannot upvote each comment. Steven Seagal. Edit. Thanks for all the upvotes. His movies are practically all comedies now. Maybe he'll have better luck in Russia. Rolling on the floor laughing. Andy Dick. Don't understand how he ever gets work. I think James Corden goes without saying. Can a person enjoy guns while also supporting some form of gun control? Why or why not? Many Swedish gun owners have talked are fine with the gun laws we have, but not some of the bureaucracy. E.g., we don't have a license as a person that allows you to have X guns of type Y. We have a separate license per gun. Even the German gun owners have talked to think we're silly. And the Germans stereotypically are fond of bureaucracy. Edit. Since there seems to be some confusion, I'm also Swedish. And I shoot for sport here and own multiple firearms. One of these fallacies promoted by the partisans in U.S. politics is that you are either pro-Second or anti-Second Amendment, pro-gun or anti-gun, black or white. But from what I can tell, talking to people individually about it, is that most Americans seem to be somewhere between those two extremes. Most seem to think that individual citizens can own guns responsibly, but that we ought to do something to try to keep them out of the hands of people who will not do so responsibly or limit the damage in some way of people who choose to use them for evil. We have a lot of differences on what we think the specifics of those policies should be and what policies are effective and which are overreaching. But, like much of American politics, the high-level debate doesn't really reflect people's opinions on the ground. It reflects the most black and white, extreme versions of those opinions. It doesn't help that we also self-sort into the groups the most closely align with our thoughts, even though they don't reflect the nuances of our opinions. But the point is, you can be an enjoyer of guns, pro-Second Amendment, and also think that there are reasonable regulations we should put in place to limit the harm incompetent or badly motivated people can do with those weapons. Yes, I enjoy driving cars and believe speed limits promote safe driving. Driving would be much more dangerous without speed limits. The same logic can be applied to guns. Yes, most of us with guns encourage safe and proper handling of these tools in the hands of a safe and proper person. We usually teach people, sometimes at a young age, How to handle firearms safely and responsibly to ensure that ACCJ dents don't occur in the future. Although incidents do occur, Kenty could be prevented if only proper education of such tools and a way to stop these dangerous individuals from obtaining potentially lethal weapons. Course they could. I enjoy drinking alcohol, but I absolutely want there to be restrictions on who can legally access alcohol. Yes, there's nothing contradictory about that. Food answers only. Where do you live? Poutine. Pierogi. Spam musubi babbyyyy. Clam chowder. Edit. Clam chowder. Huge expensive buffets. Peaches. If public transport were totally free, would you use it more? Why or why not? It's not the cost, it's the inconvenience. The closest bus stop is 7 miles. If we can have train system like Japan has, I definitely will use it even if it is not free. Yes. Where I live in Japan, I take public transport everywhere already anyway. It's not just about the price. Reliability is also important. No point in having free transport that only comes around once every 2 hours. When I visit large cities with solid public transportation, most recent example is Chicago, I basically exclusively ride it. And if it was free, I'd ride it more in cities that don't have quite as robust of a system. Would I ride it where I live now, even if it was free? No. Simply because the bus routes are lacking. If I rode the bus to work, I'd have to transfer a minimum of 4 buses and walk a pretty far distance. On top of that, sometimes between bus routes, my wife and I have discussed it many times. If public transportation was better, we'd become a 1-car family. Bonus points if we lived close enough to work to bike. For us to live close enough to bike to work, we'd either have to live in one of the most expensive parts of town, for me to bike to work, or an average area, but cross through one of the poorest and most dangerous areas, for my wife. So that's not feasible. Price isn't the issue. It's already 0.50 cents a ride where I'm at. And that's dirt cheap for the distance. The real issue is, do you want to ride a bus for 2 hours to go the same distance as 5 minutes? In a car? It's basically poor people transit, where the real cost is time. A lot of time. Germany had a €9 ticket recently and public transport was completely overwhelmed because people actually used it. What would be your reaction if you saw giant, "Eat the Rich" banners on freeway overpasses nationwide? I would immediately start eating rich people. Wouldn't even question it. Just smash my car into the next Audi I saw. Drag the fleshy morsels from the wreckage and start chowing down. When the emergency services came, I'm run credit checks on them immediately in case any of them had recently come into an inheritance or something, in which case I'd eat them too. Same way as my reaction to passing most political billboards vaguely acknowledge its existence out the corner of my eye and move on with my life. It would be a welcome change to the "Hell is real" and 10 Commandments billboards I see on I-71. I'd wonder how secure it is on there and be nervous of it falling off as I'm driving under, hindering my vision. Wonder how rich is rich. Will I be dining out or be dined on? Ever heard of lab-grown meat? Well, good news. Elon Musk has donated some cells and is now selling himself for your dinner table. It's all an ad campaign for MUSKMEAT. Technically, it's not cannibalism. What comes to mind when you think about Germany? I took German for 4.5 years. All I think about is my German teacher forcing us to learn 99 Luftballons. Today, a foiled plot to overthrow the government. The Nürburgring. Cool architecture. Mountains. The Holocaust. Autobahn. Subscribe, my brothers.